Welcome to another video on data to decisions. In today's video, we'll be building a slider chart in Microsoft Excel. A slider chart can be an effective tool if you are presenting the actual metric value against a target or a benchmark. This is very relevant when your targets are same across the category. So let's take this first chart. This is by company, we have the customer satisfaction index. As long as your targets are have the same benchmark of the baseline, which is 100 in this case, then this chart is relevant or helpful. If your absolute values are not, for example, if you have sales and if you have your target for each of the region may not be the same, in that case, I would recommend you to convert the sales as a percentage of the target. Then your baseline is across the board the same 100%. So make sure that the data you use from the same target across all the categories, then use this slider chart. Now I'm going to walk you through from scratch how you can build this in Excel. I'll also give you some tips on how you can do different flavors or variations of it. You can do a circle slider like this with the border as in the second shot, or you can do square. You can also do icons. I'll show you how you can do different icons. And also, if you want to fill the actual metric value, you can do so as this chart. So I'm going to walk you through these things from scratch. So let's get started. So we'll start with the raw data company. And in my case, the metric I'm representing here is index or the customer satisfaction index. So I'm going to select the data, insert 2D line with markers. So make sure we choose this one, line with markers. And this is essentially, this is what we will use to present the actual circles for the circle slider. But I want that background column, right? So if I go back to my sheet, you see that there is a column, gray column in the background. So for me to create that column, I'm going to just call it as target column, and I'm going to just put 100. In my case, I have, it's an index, so 100 is the maximum possible value for each of these companies. So what I'm going to do now is to just type in 100. In your case, this could be another number, but make sure it's the same across the board. Only then this chart will be more effective. And now once you have this, you can go and right click on the chart, select data, add a new series, and I'm going to just maybe we'll call it target itself, and then I will choose these values. Great. Now I know it looks a little different, so we'll go and change the chart type. Right click, change chart type, do a combo, and the index is basically our actual value. So I want that to be still line with markers, but the target, which is 100, so I want this to be a clustered column. So now you start seeing that it's coming together. I am going to click on that orange columns because I would like to change the format. If you want to open up the format pane, just click on the chart, Control 1, that'll open it again. Now you can select each series separately. So I'm going to select the target series, make it a solid fill, and you can give one of the lighter colors. So let's say I'm choosing one of the lighter blues, and that works fine. And I'm going to now select the index series. And in the index series, I want to make, I don't want the line because this is line is not relevant here. Built-in marker, and I will choose a circle, and I'm going to make the size a little bit bigger, 25. So now you start seeing that bigger circle slider, and I'm going to put a fill, which is a little bit darker blue, and then I'll have a border, a black border. Okay, so now you have that. And if you, for example, you want the column to become thinner, then what we can do is to select the target series and make the gap width larger. So let's say I put 400%. You can see that it's becoming thinner. And now it starts looking more like a slider. I'm going to add labels to the index series. So click on the big circles now, add data labels. And I want the labels to be in the middle. So I'm going to go click on the label, Label options, center, and change the font color to white because we have the darker color circle, so we want to labels to be clearly visible. So now I'm going to do some of the standard formatting that we do on every chart. So right click format grid lines. Say in this case, you can do no line if you don't want the lines to be visible. And then I will add a chart title. And I would say customer satisfaction index by company. And I can format this. In this case, I'm not going to really have any legend because it's very clear what it is. And I'm also not going to have any of the x-axis titles or the y-axis titles. So because in this case, my title of the chart itself is very clear that what we're looking at is customer satisfaction index. So that explains the y-axis. And by company, that's the x-axis. So I didn't want to add the titles again. So we're looking good so far. I'm going to click on the chart and just do a final order for the chart. The gray, dotted corner. So, okay. So now it does look like a slider on the y-axis. I can make this 100 to be the maximum. So now it'll take up more of the chart space and it looks like a slider. Let's talk about some of the variations or the flavors that I mentioned. So you can click on the big circle again. And if I know that you may actually accidentally select the label, and that's because the label comes on the top. So you can always go to index, which is the name I gave to my actual value series. And so I'm selecting them, and then I can go to the marker options. And instead of the circle, I can change it to a square. So that gives you a little bit of a different visual effect. You can do so. You can also change it to a picture. So the picture is where I can choose, I'm still within the marker and I can choose a picture here. It automatically created that, star icon for me because I had done it previously. In your case, it may not happen. So you can choose a picture from icons. So whatever you think is relevant. So I can choose, for example, I want to choose this, I can insert, and now it inserts that icon. And I can change the size of the icon just by changing the size of the marker. And when I'm using this, I don't want the border to appear. So I need to go and say border no line. That removes the border around my icon. So if I click outside now, it looks like this. Now, the one thing that is when you use the icon, you want to make sure is change the position of the labels and the font because now the labels are not visible. If you want the labels to be visible, again, go to the chart, select data labels, and now go to the label options, choose above because now instead of icon and this overlapping, now it'll put above and it is in white color font. And so I can go back and change it to a different font. There we go. So now I have the label as well as this. One more variation that I would like to talk to you about is if I wanted um, the fill to be visible with a gray background. So I'm going to make a copy of this, copy the chart, paste it here so that we can visually see what the difference is. What I'm going to do now is make this target gray. So I'll make this gray. So it'll look like this. And maybe instead of the icon, let me go back to the index series, marker. Let's put the default circle itself with a darker blue. The blue is here. Okay. So we've gone back to the default design. But what I'm going to do now is to add another series called, I'm going to call it actual fill. And I will select again our original values and you'll see why. So nothing seems to have happened, and that's because change chart type, Excel put it into a different chart type, which I didn't want. So actual fill should be a clustered column, not line. Okay, so make sure that the index, which is my original actual, is a line because that's what we use for the circle. The target is the background gray color. Actual fill is what we will use to fill the column. Now we'll see what it is now. Okay, and right click, format data series. Make sure this overlaps 100%. And now I can change this actual fill color to the color that I want, maybe the theme, something like this. So now this gives a different visual effect with the same data, but the value 66 is now also represented by the light blue fill color. And then on top of that, we have um, the circle. So here again, if I want the label to go inside the circle, I can click on it, put it into the center, make it white so it's clearly visible. The one thing you notice is that the width of these columns have now increased compared to the what you see here. So it doesn't really give you a slider effect. So what I'm going to do is to click on this light blue and increase the gap width again back to 400%. So now it kind of gives you a slider effect. Thin, narrow column, and then a bigger circle gives you that slider effect. So hopefully this is helpful. With very simple data points, we were able to present and create many different visuals of or variations of the slider chart. If you have any suggestions or questions, please let me know. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching.